Hello there, folks, and happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Hope you guys are all having a nice afternoon. This is CM Oda here. I hope you guys are all having a nice day. Just getting RO set up. I figure we might do a little bit of monster spawning. Oops. Okay, well, we've got Hugel here. Infested with snakes, as you could imagine. Fortunately, they are not very aggressive. But yeah, let me put out the word that we're going to be doing a little bit of monster spawning here in Hugel, and we'll switch to Classic about partway through. Okay, but this is our weekly show where I'll talk about what's going on in RO. Kind of the biggest thing last week, we had the Heroes Trail Part 2, still working on a website for that. Already got some people who've got that delightful St. Patrick's Day hat on. Oops. Okay, bad call. Let's not mouse over that item that does not exist. Hey, Danny Extreme. For those of you guys who haven't seen it, Danny Extreme has been doing some RO live streams. Very cool stuff. Remember, if you guys are doing RO YouTube videos or RO live streams, tweet at Play Ragnarok on Twitter, and I'll make sure to get that info tweeted out to everybody who anybody who follows our Twitter account. So we'll be happy to do that as soon as the game is not dying. So yeah, I've got an item in the inventory of my character that's probably a little bad. It does not properly exist. I have to do a lot of item spawning for testing. That item was not ready for prime time, so I'm getting the RO client loaded back up again. So yeah, come on and join me in yeah, come along and join me in the chat, and I'll be spawning some monsters. Okay, let's not open the inventory anymore. That would be a bad idea. So, I mean, we kind of already have snakes in town. Oh, nice. Danny Extreme says I'll be doing giveaways and Bloody Branch parties tonight, 5 to 7 p.m. PST, 1 hour 45 from now. Check it out later. For now, let's enjoy this. You know what? I cannot promise this will be a great or a good stream, but hope you guys will be having fun. I've got some music from Incompetech. It's can't really hear it properly though. No. It's as Celtic as I can get while still being royalty free. So Incompetech.com. Great place to go for some music that is not copywritten. Okay, they asked for Ifrit. So during this show, I answer questions from the community that are posted in the War Portal forums. So this week's thread is here. So we'll always have the questions and answer post. I'll usually post it up Thursday or Friday. Usually, wow. You guys were not ready for this monster. Dryads1974 says Tiki Tuesday, drinking ales on stream or Irish beer. Unfortunately, we're not able to drink here at the office, but probably tonight. I don't know. Maybe I'll pick up like a corned beef and cabbage or some Irish ale. If you guys have a Trader Joe's in your neighborhood, they have a lot of fun seasonal foods just for the season. Maybe we'll have a stick of Irish butter, just like put it in between a tortilla or something. More of a rum person myself, though. Sorry, friends list is full if you're trying to add me. Cryptic asks, I have a question. When is Gravity/War Portal going to have a unified server with all languages and backgrounds? Making all private servers illegal, Ragnarok needs a unified interface so all regions and players can play together. If anything, that's kind of what we used to have with International Ragnarok. It used to be us, Jero, Kero, but Iro got licensed out kind of to other countries around the world, and kind of our original user base got split up to all these different servers. So we're slowly bringing people back into the fold. Piero's coming back. We had Oceanic join us. A lot, whether it's a merger or it's just open for players to join us. The tough thing about private servers is that most of the time they're operated outside of the United States, so our legal ability to go after them or KROs is limited. If they're being run in a country that doesn't have strict anti-copyright laws or there's loopholes, it's a lot of money for not a lot of gain. Dianide Bay says, any way to specifically PM you? Yes, you go onto the War Portal forums and you can send me a PM. I am Oda, O-D-A, on the forums, and you can just contact me there. Yeah, Danny X Stream says, shout out to any ex-Oceanic ORO players like myself, by the way. That was one of the earlier merges. We had people coming over from ORO, from India, from the Philippines now. Skeleton says, let us from the Philippines play IRO through Steam. As far as I know, it should be open up. You should be able to register a new account from the Philippines. Christian says, Oda, for long term, what is your focus for keeping players playing and engaged in IRO for years to come? Specifically, things that are centered around player longevity, enjoyment, and all-around fun. The biggest thing is trying to get us more caught up with KRO. It's something that we've been working on and trying to pressure the development team into getting us more timely updates. Heroes Trail 2, which we just got in, we're getting the Wave Mode dungeon, and I believe it should be the Nightmare version of the Clock Tower. Should be coming just next month in April. So we are trying to close the gap. It's very tough to do because we are 2+ years behind. We're even further behind on some smaller updates that are still pretty crucial, but we're trying to get better context from our development team in being able to respond and just keep us appraised of, what proposals are yes, what proposals are no, what the status is on the requests that we've made, and letting them know what the feedback is from the community. Cryptic, sorry about the disconnection. The brief summary of the answer is it would be difficult to have a server that covers all countries, just kind of for the simple fact that we don't have a switchable interface to, people have greatly different language requirements. Having servers that are in your country of origin is nice. But having one server with all different players in the world on it is something that slowly but surely we are kind of doing. As other servers close, we're definitely determined to be the server that is able to hang in there for the long run. You know, we've done it before. We used to have most of the world under our umbrella, and we will again. Dianite Bay says, any future plans for IRO on Mac? It's unlikely that we'd have native support for a Mac client just because, you know, most of the people who play games in Korea are playing on Windows-based PCs, and it's kind of the one that we can count on most people in the world having access to. Mac is still, it's definitely not the same penetration as PC has. So developing a client specifically for that is not likely. But as other people have pointed out in the chat, there are a ton of ways to get RO running on a Mac without just, you know, emulating Windows. Rith Kristen says, Oda, do you feel that if the IRO community was more vocal in communicating their concerns about the length of time Kero releases updates and the time IRO receives them would aid your team in pressuring the developers into getting this content out to us sooner? I'd say yes. You know, for a lot of the things that the community is kind of like, of course we want to get these updates. And you know what? I am working on having a sort of a bulletin board sort of thing. If you guys are familiar with Trello, we are sort of switching over to using that internally in the office. It's sort of like a virtual bulletin board, sort of like a Google Docs kind of thing where, you know, you can create different basically post-it notes and you can move them around. If you, for instance, what we have is for our maintenances, we have different columns set up. So proposed, in progress, completed. It's a way for us to keep things organized, and each member of the team knows what's going on. And so having something like that for the community to sort of keep an eye on what we're working on in terms of major updates is something that is definitely possible. I think having a user feedback board where it's kind of like, here's the major issues of the day, here are comments from the community about why they want it. Kind of, we have that right now in a thread called by the user Jay. It's what to look forward to, and that it's actually a really good resource for being able to keep an eye on what updates we've gotten and which ones we're still waiting for. Okay, let's actually get to the questions asked in the thread. Dare, okay, have two Thanatos. Thanatos. Hopefully that's not too much for him. Dare says, number one, green ales are back to their old effect. Will this be permanent or will they be reverted at the end of the event? Yes, I believe end of April they will be returning to normal. Right now they heal 10% of your HP and SP with a cooldown. During this event they're 50%. Dare says the 48 new cards are in the game. Are they in the old card album? If not, are they planned to be added to OCA in the future? It would make sense for them to be in the OCA. Usually when we've asked Kero, we've actually been able to get their current card list. I think the OCAs in Kero have not been updated for some time. So that's something where we might ask them about it. Jay had some questions. Number one, is this thread being operated on? It's localization errors. Yes, when we have time, you can report up localization errors, and that actually might be something where the Trello board let me show you guys what it looks like. Hopefully this is not too long. But that would actually be a pretty good place for people to sound off about localization errors. Ideally, it would be something that we would fix from time to time. All right, you guys asked for it. Oh boy. Valkyrie is always tough. Heterochromatid Chusky says, are there any plans of making dyed clothes not a payable perk? It would be something that would be interesting as a reward for completing a quest. You might want to bug me about that on the forums. This is kind of not the best place. I don't have, my note file open here. Skinnerton asks, we can play RO here in the Philippines, but not through Steam. The only Warp Portal game we can see in the search results are Requiem and RO2. Yeah. That's something where I believe that we should be able to control who's able to see our Steam page and to be able to download it. But I'm pretty sure that it should be. Our intention is for people from the Philippines to be able to register new accounts through Steam as well. Cryptic says, Oda, I've spoken to many RO players that have left RO Classic Loki for a similar P server that emulates IRO. They said that IRO would be better if they had a more balanced Classic server. Are there plans in the future for a better IRO pre-renewal server? Balance is a tough thing to do, but we actually have a number of projects that have been proposed, and we're working with the community, people who, multiple sides, different guild leaders who have a stake in the classic metagame kind of stuff in our foundry to sort of make it more balanced. And so we've got a number of projects that are cooking right now, and we're getting feedback and sort of working on developing that do make Classic a more balanced environment. I mean, part of the problem is people say, I won't play on Classic until this is done. And other people, they won't give feedback to be able to get that stuff going until more people play on it. So it's a difficult situation, but we're working on improving the new player experience on Classic. We're working on improving the WoW experience. We've got new people coming in from the Philippines. We've got oh geez, that's a big guy. We've got people who are trying out Classic because they've heard of pre-renewal. They want to play on an official server. So we want to make sure that it's a fun experience for them. And so that's what the Foundry is all about. It's about, we propose projects, we get feedback from our players, and we implement the changes. Something that, we've got the experience to be able to make these changes on Classic to make it better. And we're listening to what you guys have to say. Jay says you mentioned in a previous Tiki you'd add a faster option for prize metal exchange with the Eiffel NPC in Einbrock. That is actually going in this week. So instead of just being able to turn in 100 prize medals, you'll be able to turn in 1,000 at a time. Number 3, I heard the expanded class skill books from the Creator Academy can be equipped by super novices at a high level. Is this a bug? Yes, that is not intended. It's definitely not intended that super novices should be able to equip this, novice Creator Academy thing. That will also be fixed this week. Rai Vukes says, to continue our discussion from a Steam-centered post, what is Warp Portal going to do about the situation with Steam players? I think that we can have something ready for a new VIP and points plan. I think the problem was just the way that it was set up. It was set up that players would pay for the VIP and they get free points. But the way that calculated out, it made it look like we're giving away tons and tons and tons of free points just from nowhere. And I think there was something, it would be more likely that we could do where you're technically buying points and you get free VIP. I think that was kind of like the main thing that was suggested, but I can make another push to see if we can put something in. It's something that for Steam we're not able to give as nice of deals as we can do for our Warp Portal customers, but we realize that we've got a lot of people playing on Steam, and it wouldn't be right if they had no options. So it might not be something we can leave in permanently, but on an event basis, we can definitely get some points and VIP plans going. Super D 025 says, what will happen to the items and characters of PRO? Your characters, as long as you are opting in, will be moved over to our new Thor server. Items will move over with some exceptions. We're not bringing over God items, MVP cards, and a lot of kind of very, very powerful gear. Some items, we'll have to have limits to the number of stacks, or to the limit of the numbers of stacked items. You can't bring over 30,000 of these, NPCable items, just because we're not allowing people to bring Zenny to the new server. So allowing them to bring over items that you sell for a lot of Zenny, we can't have that. Fuyuki Kun asks, Calusio heals on Metal Gear seem bugged again. Yeah, let's take a look at that. Also, I can't vend my Wanderer card. It's already in the cart, but when the vend started, it said Wanderer cards are cannot be dealed. I recall Wanderer is not a mini boss or MVP card. Yeah, we'll have to check. We'll have to check cards. It could be that the Caro update changed the tradability status. Necroheliac asks, thanks for fixing the Valentine's recipes. They're all storageable now. Any update on the Mora bounty boards? I could have sworn that we had worked on fixing that, but we can take another look. Malongdo Culverts EXP for daily and weekly quests. That I'm not sure about. Number 3, any chance of reducing the cooldown on these new instances by 1 hour, or having the cooldown start the moment you start the instance is currently 23 hours plus a daylight standard time bug, and the cooldown does not start until you exit the entrance and talk to the NPC. As a result, the cooldown gets pushed later and later every day. We're going to try something this week to see if shutting everything down during the maintenance. Yeah, that's weird. We're going to try and see if we can do something to fix the daylight standard time cooldown error. It could just be a way that we've been shutting things down and restarting the servers. So we're going to try something this week. If not, we'll have to be removing an hour off the cooldowns of things. Number 4, also any updates on stack limits and restricted NPC purchasable items from that welcome thread. Looks like people are already starting to hoard those in anticipation of bypassing any restrictions. Yeah, a lot of those etc. items we're going to have to put some limits on. People have already mentioned that there are like stacks of 30,000 items that people are hoping to bring over onto the new Thor server. They're going to be very disappointed if they're hoping to get around our restrictions that way. XRO says, as discussed on the welcome thread, will there be any consideration for new Iris's sealed MVP cards? Given that no MVP cards existed on that server, shouldn't they be compensated for the sealed MVP cards just as those from the other servers were compensated for their MVP cards? Because sealed cards were purchasable from the shop, they're going to be treated differently from the MVP cards that people actually got to drop in the game. The producers will have to take a look at that. Possible that there will be some kind of compensation, but again, sealed cards are something that just cannot exist. We can't have them in on the new server. RTIH Kristen says, Oda, I noticed as a returning veteran player the emptiness of the world of RO. What do you think is the cause of this, and how do you believe we can increase the population of RO? One of the issues is kind of the fundamental way that the game is built is that the development team, they want to broaden the game. It's exciting when you can say, hey, I've got this completely new land, I've got this completely new instance, I've got all of this new stuff I'm building out. Unfortunately, it means that you're spreading your community thin and that players will see less and less of each other because it's all the people at this level are going to go to this map, all the people at this level are going to go to that map. The Gramps turn-ins, instances, and other things there are things that take people off the leveling maps, which make it feel more empty. We had this issue on Classic server where everybody was crowded into the Eden group on Classic, and just millions of people in there, just crowded in there. Frontier was absolutely deserted. New people would come and they'd log in on Classic and they'd see nobody's in Frontera, so who's playing this game? But we actually had a lot of people in Eden, so we put a lot of the NPCs in the Eden group. We put them into Frontera, and so the people kind of naturally, without us sort of forcing them to, started populating into Frontera, hanging out there. And so, having a lot of people on the maps, having a lot of people in the towns especially, it's a first impression for a lot of new players. Like Skeleton said, advertisement's a big deal. But kind of one of the biggest issues is that Classic and Renewal, Ragnarok in general is very, 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 very poor at explaining itself to new players. It'll kind of tell you really basic stuff. Here's how to kill monster. If you look really hard, it'll tell you how to upgrade items. But a lot of the stuff from RO's 12 years of history, like, hey, what's an instance? How do I get there? None of this is communicated in the game, and on my part, it's not communicated on the website either. Unless people know from the start to go to IroWiki, to go to the different fan sites that provide this information, there's kind of no way for them to know a lot of the stuff that is crucial for them to know to play the game. past just the very earliest parts of the game. And us not having an in-house development team is a little frustrating. If anything, that's kind of what we have for Classic, and so that does work out a little bit better. But yeah, the new player experience is very, very detrimental to people being able to get in game and to sort of start participating in meaningful ways. Like, there's no tutorial for how to get even into WoE Training Edition. There's a lot of the stuff that the game does not communicate as well as it should. RTH continues, says, I've really only met people in Gramps TI. Do you believe Gramps, specifically the focus on 3 maps, are taking away from the exploration aspect of RO and are kind of punching players because it's kind of the best way to level at the moment? That's sort of the focus of the Bounty Board project. Numerous players, but sort of spearheaded by our player Zero Tigers on the forums, has sort of put forward, Gramps is all well and good, but a lot of players just level there instead of getting out into the world. It addresses sort of that seeing people on the maps issue, and that it's kind of almost too good. While it would be very difficult to remove that, we are working on a system of turning quests basically on the original maps, and having that as a way of, people can earn EXP, they can earn a little bit of Zenny, they can earn badges as an incentive, like we did with Frontier Classic, of getting people out to the original maps. But that's one of the projects we are working on. It would be very difficult to remove the turn-in system because a lot of people have come to depend on it. But being able to provide meaningful alternatives is something that we are working on. Jay Squishy says, chain lightning bug fix, please. When you guys are referring to reports that you've made or bugs or something like that, if you guys have the original post or thread where you're talking about it, just toss that link into the Tiki Tuesday. Toss it into your post so it'll be easier for me to keep track of when that was originally reported. Sorry about that for those of you guys who are in the game. There's a Faceworm Queen from one of our new instances. Fuyuki-kun reports an issue with the Devil's Tower bug. We'll have to investigate that. Take a look at the scripting. Jenny Us says, still have a question about the migration. It's about the cart remodeling skill and the premium and VIP hairstyles. It's something that we're going to have to get for IRO because we can't take that away from players. There are sort of custom stuff that people have on PRO, hair, VIP hairstyles, being able to remodel your cart. The things that we should have on IRO that we don't already. There's a number of things like cards or those things that we should have that we do not. But we're going to have to get them before the merger happens with the PRO players on our new Thor server. Otherwise, they're going to get bugged out. So that is kind of that's the incentive for Caro to actually get that stuff to us in a timely manner. Also, there are numerous migrating PRO players that have shared IP addresses, and innocent players are getting banned. We are working on that. It will be an issue because, when the GM team suspends bots and if there's illegal activity, it's very likely that the GM team will lock down everybody connected to that same IP address. It's kind of how they have to do it. When there are a lot of accounts that are like RO1, RO2, RO3, RO4, that kind of thing, it's sort of like these don't look like they're being operated by different people, but it's something that we'll have to deal with. Also, what will happen to our second passwords in PRO, since it's already implemented there, that won't carry over. We're not going to get a second password system for IRO. TH Bronx says, "Hey Oda, question. People are discouraging me, saying that mottos mechanics suck. They're useless and the only thing they can do is explode. Help me. What should I answer? Thanks." You know what? You're riding around in a robot suit. I think that's pretty cool. I believe that Matto Gears are also getting a update down the line from Caro, so you might want to hang on to them. Espiritus says, "Any response from Caro about community-created headgears and Bushiri accessories? Nothing yet." DN9T Bay says, "Any plans on adding trans classes for the extended classes, Soul Linker, Gunslinger, etc.?" We have proposed to Caro, and they said that they were interested in making it so that expanded class characters could level up to 175. Gunslingers are getting a second class, but trans classes are something that have not really been discussed for those classes yet. Kaishan asks, "Oda, how many Hawaiian shirts do you own?" Thank you. Maybe like 10, something like that. Not a lot. Maybe a dozen. Juxtapose says, "Will the severe rainstorm position bug ever be fixed?" Please give me a link to the thread that was talking about it last. Payasan asks, "When is Geffen Spotlight ending? Can we have something like Juno or Hugel?" We're actually going to be doing a spotlight on Juno starting this week. Donato X says, "May I ask about the MVP card trading by GM? How long does it take?" Solar and I already sent the ticket to the GM team on Saturday night, but still have not gotten a reply yet. It's usually a couple of days, although likely it'll be slower on the weekends where we don't have as many people in the office. Dante says, "Can you make Elven ears slotted placeable in carts to vend?" Unless there's strong reason, that's possible. Please note when you're asking about that kind of thing, what server you're talking about. Zelly asks, "Since the slot ad was mistaken for the Sunny slot coupon on the box, could we get an option to exchange those Sunny coupons or even allow the slot ads to allow Troy to attempt a Sunny slot edition?" I think that would only be fair to people who were misled. Possible. definitely possible. It's one of the suggestions in the thread where I talk about that. Momo Lynn says, hello, our third job hat's going to be fixed anytime soon. We're hoping to get some work on them before the end of March. But those are things that are going to need community feedback and testing, and we're going to need to get that stuff working on Sacre. But we will be doing that this month. Joaco says, my question for this week is there any chance to add deviling hats to Boxer? They're from previous boxes but never got added. Possible for a future box if we ever put the deviling hat, when we put it back into a lucky box. Special Turtle says, what did the orange Edgar hats do? Mine only says placeholder in the description. We're waiting for an update from Caro on what the actual effects should be. Dryads 1974 says, how are there 2 silver coins and also bronze coins? Some of the drops kind of date back from earlier versions of the quest, so there are some that may not be super relevant, but we will make sure to have an exchanger so you can turn them in for green L's and such. So to answer a final question from RTIH Kristen, Oda, again as a returning veteran, I see that PvP WoW seems lacking. I'm trying to bring a lot of RO veterans from pre-renewal back to RO, but when they see the state of WoW and PvP scene and the lack of incentives in both, they feel like returning isn't worth it. Also, they feel RO is too cluttered now. What are your thoughts on the WoW PvP incentives, the WoW scene in general, and how to get veterans back in the game? I'd actually appreciate if you could post some of the feedback they have on our forums. It's very difficult for us to gather feedback from just these Twitch chats. You know, we do want to improve the PvP, but more urgently the WoW scene on Classic. There's definitely some issues with that right now. Again, the game was kind of like with the map seeming empty. The game was designed for a certain number of players, and you know, it should have been more flexible to adjust to the population of the server, but now it's kind of a one-size-fits-all sort of thing. What are your thoughts on WoW and PvP incentives? I mean, the stuff you get from holding those castles and god items, those are pretty dang useful. Shai says, Oda, could we have WoW-based quests where players can participate in the WoW scene for PvE rewards such as EXP or even merit badges? I mean, they kind of have those in the WoW update. But WoW-based quests where players can participate in the WoW scene for PvE rewards such as EXP or even merit badges. That is an interesting idea. If you can post that up on the forums, I'd definitely appreciate that. It would probably be more possible for Classic. That way they're rewarded for participating instead of requiring to win a castle for rewards. We're kind of always looking at how can we get people participating in WoW. One thing we do want to do for Classic is having the option for Battlegrounds or War of Imperium that would be, you know, pre-trans only, and that wouldn't have MVP cards, it would not have god items, you know. Something that would be kind of an even playing field for newer players to learn the ropes of War of Imperium, which you know, that's kind of a major thing in keeping people playing week after week is, you know, they want to be there for their buddies. They want to be playing with their friends, taking castles, killing other players. You know, WoW is a very important thing for that. And right now, kind of on both servers, it's very, very difficult for new players to learn how to do WoW without just getting steamrolled, without wasting all their potions and time. So that's something we're definitely working on right now. So I think that's about all the time we have for this week. I'd like to thank you guys all for watching for the Tiki Tuesday live show. We'll be here on Danny X Stream says, I'll be streaming in 1 hour. Check out my thread on the official forums for new and veteran players, giveaways, and bloody branch parties. So he's going to be streaming in about an hour. And so if you guys want to keep an eye on what RO player streams are going on Twitch, I'll be tweeting those out on the Play Ragnarok Twitter account. So yeah, if you guys are doing a RO Classic or Renewal live stream, just tweet at Play Ragnarok, not between the hours of midnight and 8 a.m. please, but I'll make sure to retweet that, so you guys keep an eye out for that. And I'll be back on Friday with our weekly War Portal Weekly live stream. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today. 40 people, not too bad. And you guys have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. Aaron go bra, and aloha. Oh, also, this will be up on YouTube in just a few minutes. Thank you very much for watching again, and have a great day.